the secret of karma yajna. Well, the speaker is, as usual, Professor Pramod Kumar. In the last lecture, he talked of Swabhava and Swadharma, wherein he clearly asserted Swabhava as a natural disposition or tendency or feeling on the part of an individual, and Swadharma as a contextual necessity. Having said so, he established in the lines of Bhagavad Gita that Swabhava and Swadharma can go on hand in hand. Well, today we have a lecture on the secret of Karma Yajna. And Karma Yajna, as I think, is quite different from Karma Yoga. Karma Yajna rather be taken as a preparatory stage for Karma Yoga. Well, let us find out what exactly it is with much more clarity in the talk of Professor Pramod Kumar. Like the earlier lectures, I hope that this lecture too would be a very interesting one, and would also greatly help us in bringing about new ideas, and also I hope all of us would enjoy this lecture. And I also hope that this lecture would be a thought-provoking one, because karma yajna is something a coinage which is something new. When we talk more of karma yoga and less of karma yajna, well, the focus, the secret of karma yajna, what exactly it is. Let's see how Professor Das take this title in this lecture. Okay, now over to Professor Pramod Das for the lecture on the secret of karma yoga or karma yajna. Over to Professor Das.
Namaskar to all of you. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are both audible and visible.
Thank you. Respected Dr. Rao, very esteemed participants of this session, respected members of Wisdom Intellectual Forum Puri. Today we have a very beautiful topic, that is the secret of karma yajna. So we have three concepts. One is secret, the other is karma, and the third one is yajna. In previous sessions, we have also discussed about different aspects of karma yoga, but we have not come to the stage of doing karma. Dr. Rao rightly said that today we are going to discuss about the preparatory stage of karma, the preparation of karma. What is that? In our in common sense, Generally, when we do something, we consider that that is our karma, that we performed an action that appears to be an action, therefore it is an action. But if we shall think deeply, then one thing will come to our mind. Actually, did I do an action, or I expressed a reaction? Whether my performed and confirmed action is an action or a reaction? That is the question. Here in this chapter, in the third chapter, there is discussion about the preparation of action. Preparation of action means what are the conditions, what are the preconditions which lead to the performance of an action. In the fourth chapter, we shall discuss about different types of karma, karma, vikarma, akarma. We shall discuss that. But in this chapter, actually, we are going to discuss about the preconditions of our action. Instantially, when we think that we are doing an action, actually that is the reaction. That is the reaction of our anger. That is the reaction of our happiness. That is the reaction of our mood, any mood. That means that is the reaction of our vasana, of our tendencies. Suppose I am unhappy, and I have a hidden desire for something which is not fulfilled. And in that state, when I am doing something, definitely that is the reaction of that. It is simply a reaction. Suppose someone is in a very rough mood. If we are requesting him to do something, we can also expect, we can predict the reaction. Therefore, intelligently we deal with people. No, don't ask now. The boss is angry, or the boss is not in the right mood. Father is angry, or not in a proper mood. So let us wait. If now we shall ask, then the reaction will be negative. That means we mistake the reaction to the action. It is the projection of our tendency. It is the projection of our vasana. It is the projection of our memory. It is the projection of our desires. So our action, the so-called action, is the projected reaction that we mistakenly say and confirm and conclude that I performed an action. And such type of actions lead to bondage. So what are the preconditions and how that vasana is created? That is the secret of action. So we shall start with our accessories of accessories which are blessed by God. We are blessed with 5 sense organs. we perceive the external world through our sense organs. So from that process, directly, we develop a contact between ourselves and the empirical world. I saw something through my eye sense organ. I heard something through my ear sense organ. I tasted something through my tasting organ. So different five sense organs are there. We all have these five sense organs, and we perceive the empirical world through these five sense organs, and that is the very preliminary way of being in contact with the empirical world. And they are our friends. Then what happens? In the second stage, we try to interpret our perception. Suppose I perceived something, I saw something, I tasted something. The matter does not end there. The matter starts from there. I saw something, or I tasted something, or I heard something. Then I start interpreting, and that work is done by mind. So mind tries to interpret our perceptions. That means we think about our perceptions. We think about our perceptions, and we think over our perceptions. That means we think again and again about our experience. So this is the second phase of our attachment with the empirical world. Action will come later. Now these are the preparatory stages of action. First I saw something, and then I liked it. It was very pleasant. I tasted something. I liked that. I preferred that. That was very pleasant, because man is pleasure seeking. The swabhava of a man is that he always naturally he seeks pleasure. So anything that is pleasant to our sense organs, that becomes our favorite. That becomes our taste of life. Then we give logic to justify that perception, that it is, this is right or wrong, this is good or bad. In that way also we become trapped by that perception and by that interpretation. I saw something, then I interpreted it by applying my reason, by applying my logic, my through my intellectual ability, I interpreted that. That means thoughts follow the perceptions. When I am perceiving something in the external world, the object of a perception is external. It is there in the external world. It is out of me. But when I am thinking about that perception, that object of a perception, the external object of a perception, becomes internal. I gave an accommodation, I gave a room for that external image, external object of perception in my thoughts. So now the object is not outside, the object is inside. Object has taken shelter in my mind. So that was a door, the first door. First, there was no door because I had not seen something, I had not perceived something. The door was closed. First door was open, I saw something. Yes, I saw something. Okay, but no, I liked it, I preferred it, I became attached to it. Therefore, I started thinking of it and thinking over it, thinking about that again and again, again and again. So naturally, the external object, which was external to me, became now internal. Now the external sea beach has occupied a space in my mind. Now the sea beach is not outside of my mind, that sea beach is inside the mind. Similarly, all objects. So, first perception, then conception, and from that thoughts, desires prompt. When I think about something again and again, then only I desire to enjoy it or to possess it or to become a owner of it. There comes the desire. Desire is educated by, desire is prompted by, desires are trained by our perceptions and conceptions. Desires are not uneducated. Desires are not illiterate. Desires are highly educated because they have two supporting factors. They have originated from our series of perceptions and constant flow of thinking. Therefore, desires are so powerful. Therefore, kamana is so powerful. Yes, I desire to possess it. Why? Because I have 100 reasons for it. Because I have thought of it over and again and again. So therefore, I have made a conclusion about it. Yes, this is right. I must enjoy it. I must possess it. I must get it anyhow. From that desire, we do something. Action is done in order to fulfill such desires. When desires start, two things happen. Two things take place. Either that desire, suppose I have a desire, it may be fulfilled if it is possible. If it is possible, it may be fulfilled. Or the second possibility is that it may not be fulfilled. All desires, we have infinite desires because we have infinite thoughts, and from those infinite thoughts, we have infinite desires, and all desires are not fulfilled. It is impossible. So some desires are fulfilled and some desires are not fulfilled. So from kama, we get two results, that one is lobha and the other is krodha. If my kamana, my desire is fulfilled, okay, the problem is that we human beings do not stop at a point. Animals stop. When suppose a tiger is hungry and his stomach is full, then he will not search food. He will take rest. But human appetites are insatiated. Human appetites are never satisfied. That is lobha. If by God's grace one desire becomes fulfilled, then we try to we try to fulfill that desire, to enjoy the same desire, to possess same thing, to be the owner of that pleasant moment or situation or thing again and again, again and again. So this is an abnormal position. That is not stability. That is not a stable position. If we are misguided by the flow of a desire in the form of love, that is also bondage. That means we are not stable. Suppose the desire is not fulfilled. Now we have not done any action. This is the real cell. This is the previous stages of action. Action is not done yet. Suppose the desire is not fulfilled, in spite of our efforts, cares, some desires are not fulfilled, then we become frustrated, then we become dissatisfied. We think that life is meaningless, life is insignificant. We feel sorry, we feel we feel negative. That is krodha. So from perception, first perception, then thoughts, then desires. Desires are either fulfilled or not fulfilled. So either we are in the platform of lobha or in the platform of krodha. Similarly, there are other platforms like irsa, jealous, irsa. So many platforms are there which take place depending upon the condition whether our desires are fulfilled or not fulfilled. These preconditions, that means lobha, krodha, moha, irsa, these preconditions, similarly, these are the negative conditions. Similarly, our perception may be good, our thoughts may be good, and our desires may be good, sattvic may be good, because creation means there must be a desire. Without desire, there will be no creation. So desire does not mean that only bad desires. Perception may be good, conception may be good, thoughts may be good, and desires may be good. So from good thoughts also, we have good tendencies that I shall do something for the society. This is also a desire. But this is the desire. This is not action. The point is, when we are going to do an action instantly, the question is whether you are free from such impulses of your desires or not. Suppose I am doing an action with a precondition of a frustrated mind, then the action done is not the original action, it is the reaction, it is the projection of my anger. If I am happy, then also the action is not the original action, this is only the projection of my happiness. That means all our actions, whatever we do in our practical life, if we shall ask to ourselves, others can't know, at least we are the witness of our actions. So if we'll ask to ourselves, did I justify my action? Did I do my action freely? When we are discuss about freedom and responsibility, this is also a question of freedom. Did you do that action freely with 100% freedom? Freedom does not mean the outside constraints. Freedom means whether you were free from your preconditions, your tendencies. So that is, so we perception, conception, perception, thoughts, desires, and the side effects of desires. All these four factors can come under one concept, that is memory. That is memory. So now the question is very simple. Did you do this action being free from your memory, or you did this action being prompted by your memory? Memory means these four things. Your perception may be erroneous. Your thoughts may be wrong. From your thoughts, you have come to a conclusion. That conclusion may be wrong, may be one-sided. And from that, as your thought, so are your desires. So your desires may be selfish desire. So all these conditions of our past days, not past life. Past life is something metaphysical, something mystical. At least the past days from my childhood, or even the vasanas of yesterday, the desires of yesterday, that memory conditions our action. That may condition or may not condition, but the question is whether your action is free from your vasana, your memory, or it is prompted by your memory. Now come to Bhagavad Gita. Why Arjuna was confused? There was no reason for confusion because others were not confused. Duryodhana was not confused. Bhishma was not confused. Karna was not confused. Lord Krishna was not confused. But why Arjuna was confused? Very positively we can say Arjuna was confused because Arjuna was intellectual, Arjuna was rational. So a rational mind tends to ask questions before doing something, that when I am going to do something, I should ask whether this action is good or bad, whether it is dharma or adharma. To that extent, the confusion is justified for a rational mind, because once the action is done, it is done. There will be no scope for rectifying it. So before doing an action, a rational mind tends to ask the question whether this action, what I am going to do, is according to dharma or adharma. Please guide me. Doing a particular action as per the context demands. Arjuna was confused only because of his tendencies. He was so much attached with this is attachment. He was so much attached with his relatives, and he was so much attached with his teachers and social obligations too. Therefore, his confusion was a reaction, which was a projected reaction of his tendency. But Lord Krishna was beyond that, and others also did not have that problem. Here, Arjuna is set as an example of this type of projection of reaction, because that is not expected in the battlefield. When we are sitting in the examination hall, it is expected that we shall write our script in the answer script, because that is the place where a particular type of action is expected, and any deviation of it is adharma. That means our actions are not free from our tendencies, our memories. Everything is a memory. Suppose now I am speaking. I am also speaking from my memory. Even if I speak I speak instantly, still something is there in my mind, something is stored in my memory, and I am repeating that. I am telling that. Every action is a action of our likeness or dislikeness. Every action is an action of our preference. Every action is our habit. We do not do anything instantly. We do not do anything without a plan. We have a particular type of habit or tendency to do that action. Now the question is, what should be the action, and what should be our perception, what should be our thought? We human beings suffer from preoccupied thoughts or our fond beliefs. Thought is natural, thought is no problem, there is no problem in thinking. But he is a rational mind. We shall say that someone is a rationalist who does not build a home for his thoughts, and who does not rest in any ism, that theism, atheism, or any ism. We think, rethink, then we build a house of our thought, and we make a thought system that becomes our belief system, thought system, and we live our whole life according to their thought system, that belief system, and we calculate and we judge others according to our framework, our format of thinking. We say that this is my philosophy, this is my ideology, this is my ideal, this is my thought, this is my personality, and we think that these are all positive remarks or positive signs of our personality. No. A rationalist is one who is free from all types of isms, all types of thoughts. thinking is the work of mind, but myself is not my mind. Myself is not a particular thought. So I should know the skill of managing my thoughts. If my thoughts are regulated, if I am not trapped by any particular thought or any particular belief, and if my mind is open for all possibilities of thinking, then only I shall say that I am free. Otherwise, I am not free. Freedom does not mean the freedom from the external constraints. We are bound by our own bondage, our own thoughts. So when we are not free from our own thoughts, our own tendencies, so all our actions done by that process is simply a reaction, not action. Father told me so. Okay. Next day, father is repenting. Father is thinking that what he did yesterday was wrong. Why? Because father was not convinced. Father did that, father spoke that out of a particular emotion. That means emotion is also a precondition. If you did something out of emotion, therefore Lord Krishna advised Arjuna, don't fight, out of animosity, and don't love out of infatuation. Infatuation means moho. Don't love anybody being infatuated. Out of infatuation, out of attachment, don't love. If you love that way, that is your infatuation, that is not love. Similarly, don't fight out of animosity, that he is my enemy, therefore I am fighting. No. You fight with a noble intention that to establish dharma. If your intention is to establish dharma, then whoever will do a dharma, I can be ready to fight against them. If I am established with this wisdom, then there will be no confusion that I am going to fight with my relatives. This question will not come to our mind. Because I am not fighting out of animosity. Here there is no question of enmity, animosity. No. Similarly, when I love somebody, I love my son, or love my wife, or love my relatives, that should not be prompted from my infatuation. In both the cases, I am trapped. I am bound. I am not free. And in both the cases, my actions are nothing but projected reactions. I am giving an example. If we shall ask a mother, why do you love your child? Mother will give no answer because she has no answer at all. Because mother does not love out of infatuation. Motherly love is natural. Mother loves for the sake of love. But if we shall ask to our neighbor or any relatives, why do you love? I love because of this and that. Because he is a good person. Because he has helped me. because he is very sober, because he is very gentle. So he will speak up so many good qualities, and that shall be the reason of his love. When we are giving reasons to our love, that means our love is reason based. Our love is reason oriented. Our love is not natural. So mother's love to her children has no substitute. Similarly, when we are doing an action or karma, we should do our karma only in the sense of duty, not for anything else, not for this or that, not for success or failure, not for getting this or losing that. No. I am doing something means I am doing my duty. So, oh Arjuna, here your fighting is a sign of duty. You are doing your duty. And what is that duty? It's to protect dharma. The protection of dharma is your ideation, is your direction of your karma. That is the only intention. There is no question of friendship and animosity. There is no question of relatives or outsiders. No question of whoever. Even my father will do injustice, even my father will do adharma, then it is my duty to protect dharma, going against my father, because there he is not my father, or there I am not his son. The perspectives will change according to the change of the context. If we do not change our perspectives according to the change of our context, and we remain fixed to our previous vasanas, previous memory, Arjuna was suffering from his memory. That there are many things in his memory, that they are my relatives, we are playing together. What shall I get after some such worthless fighting? I don't need Hastinapur at the cost of the blood of my relatives. Such things will come because memory is compelling to think so. But when my mind is fixed with dharma, fixed with the duty, fixed with the protection of dharma, that karma, that action is the right action, perfect. That is called action. So in practical life also, we all simply trade with others. Husband is trading with wife. Trading means a relation of a give and take. I gave because you gave. I love because you love. You hate, therefore I am hating. But I love you in spite of everything. That is true love. That is the love of a mother. Whatever may be the attitude of the children, mother loves her children. But what is our experience in our practical life? We just give our reactions of what we get from others. So my love is conditional. My love for someone is conditional. It depends upon the fact that whether he loves me or not. If I am giving something and I say that it is my help or my charity, That is also conditional because he has helped me some other day, or I have hope that he will help me in future. Therefore, I am helping him. So all these are simple reactions, not actions. That means we all have lived our life 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, 40 years, 30 years, simply exhibiting, exercising our reactions only. We have not started doing action. Because for doing an action, we should be qualified. We should be free from our memory. Now the question will come, without memory, how can you work? Without memory, how can you drive your car? Without memory, without desire, without planning, how can you do something? In that level, we are not discussing. That memory is necessary. But the memory that obstructs your way, the memory that creates a wall before you to go ahead, the memory that forces you to stand on the crossroad, that you vacillate, you are in the state of vacillation, what to do and what not to do. Please be free from that memory. That memory is not good for us. Because we cannot help that. Memory will follow us. Every day, memory is getting charged. So if we will carry that memory with us, we can't do our sadharma. We can't be able to live in this life. Even if we carry our memory to our bed, we can't sleep. For sleep, we should be free from our memory. Therefore, many times I have said, go to bed without head. If you are going to bed with your head, keeping everything in your head, then you can't sleep. That means we can sleep when we 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 forget everything. We keep the memory away from us. Then only we can sleep. Again, when we wake up, then we memorize and we live and we do we live our life. That sleeping stage, that neutral stage, that non-agitated state, that equilibrium state should be maintained in the waking state too, and that is called meditation. Meditation means to regulate your memory. Memory is necessary. Memory will be there, otherwise you will forget yesterday. Otherwise you will forget your service station. You will forget your college. You will forget your family members. That memory is necessary. But when while I am while doing an action, unnecessary memories should not stand on my way, should not disturb me. My imagination is good, but my imaginations should not stand on my way for converting my action into duty. We also sometimes we resolve, we become very much determined. No, I shall do my duty perfectly. But in course of doing, we fail to do because we suffer from that memory. Memory sometimes instigates us. Oh, Mister, you are doing so and so. You are losing so and so. Others are doing so much better than you. We should be free from that, and that was the problem of Arjuna in the battlefield. Then what is Yajna? Yajna here, as in the Bhagavad Gita, we are not discussing Yajna in the Vedic sense that Yajna is separate, but here the meaning of Yajna is different. But it is related to that. In a Yajna, what we do, we offer something that is called ahuti. We give ahuti on fire. Its meaning is something different. It is understood and it is misunderstood. The Vedic tradition is both understood and misunderstood. The meaning of sacrifice is also different. When it is misunderstood, then people practiced to sacrifice animals, but that is not the real meaning of sacrifice. And the another meaning of a yajna is doing action for a lokasangraha. Any action that is done for lokasangraha, for the betterment of the whole society, the community, or others, that may be a small group or a big group. Whenever you do something selflessly for the betterment of for the well-being of the society, that is yajna. This is the consequence. And in the process, you have to offer something which will be destroyed by fire, and you will not get anything in return. So whatever we put on the fire and we do ahuti, it is destroyed forever. We have no return, no expectation, because fire will not return anything to us. So before putting something into fire, we should be mentally strong, we should be mentally convinced that I will not get that thing back. Suppose I power ghee on fire, and the ghee will be burned. I cannot get ghee back. Or anything I shall put into fire, that is gone. That is called ahuti. I gave means I gave, and that is, and as a result, that is the purpose of yajna. That is the welfare of the creation, not only human society but also creation. That means nature, animals, birds, plants, every creature. That welfare of the entire creation. This is the meaning of yajna. In Bhagavad Gita, therefore, karma is a yajna, jnana yajna, jnana is also a yajna. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, jnana yajna. Satsanga, the discussion what is made in satsanga, we say we are performing webinar. They will say we are performing jnana yajna, because through this jnana we did something, we contributed something for lokasangraha, for the well-being of the mass. If this is the purpose of a yajna, now how it is related with the karma? Here we shall perform our karma as we do yajna. Then first process is we have to offer something, we have to sacrifice many things, we have to put many things into fire, which will be burned, which will be destroyed, and which will not come back to us. That means we shall sacrifice our bad tendencies, lobha, krodha, moha, all bad thoughts which obstruct my way, which disturb me, which stand as a wall before me, which makes me bound to be trapped. Such vasanas, such tendencies should be sacrificed on that fire of knowledge. Here, fire means the fire of knowledge. Mere knowing, suppose I know my vasana, I can be free from my vasana by the knowledge of my vasana. It is only the ignorance. It is the ignorance. Therefore, the secret of a karma is ignorance, avidya. Therefore, it is called anadi. Anadi means its origination is not known to us. What is the history? What is the starting time of my vasana? That is not known to us. It is anadi. It started from ignorance. Buddha also said that. From ignorance, there is internal consciousness. Then in Bhagavad Gita it is said that 3 types of bodies. Sthula Sarira, Sukma Sarira, and Karana Sarira. That Karana Sarira, it has its root in that Karana Sarira, which is so subtle that we cannot trace. The history of a vasana is too long. It is anadi. It is anadi. If at least we know that, yes, whatever I did, it is not my action, it is my projected reaction, that is sufficient. That means you are free from your reaction. So one can be free from his vasanas by knowledge. That is the fire of knowledge in Yajna. So in that fire of knowledge in Yajna, you sacrifice, you offer your bad tendencies. Then we shall be purified, because our vasanas are destroyed by the fire of knowledge in the form of a yajna. Number 1. Number 2, by destroying the negative vasanas, negative memory, in the fire of knowledge, automatically our action will become pure, and it will be meant for the whole cosmos. It will be meant for lokasangraha. It will be meant for the society, and that is also, in that sense also, our karma will become an instance of a yajna. 2 things. We have to destroy our negative vasanas in the fire of knowledge, that is yajna, and we shall do our action in the sense of a duty to protect dharma and for the welfare of the whole beings, for the community. And we shall think Vasundhaiva Kutumbakam means the whole globe is my family. I shall sacrifice my selfishness. I shall sacrifice my limited perspectives. I shall sacrifice my selfish desires. And I shall convert my negative desires to the positive desires. That is the desire for doing good for the society. That is called karma yajna. Similarly, jnana yajna. when we are now we are doing Jnana Yajna. We are discussing something. We are learning from each other. I am speaking something, then we shall discuss. So whatever we did for this 1 hour, here we did only a yajna because by this process we destroyed our ignorance, whatever little it may be, and as a result, our wisdom enlightened the ignorant minds. Our mind became enlightened. And all the time we are getting transformed from imperfection to perfection, from a lower state of perfection to a higher state of perfection, from bondage to liberation. Bondage means ignorance, liberation means knowledge. Mere knowing the source of a bondage is liberation. If I know the sources of my trapping, that is liberation. So this is karma yajna. So three things. One is reaction, pratikriya, reaction. Then action. Then niskama karma. Niskama karma means the karma which has no selfish consequences, which is not rooted by selfish desires, personal desires, but which is meant for lokasangraha. Three things, and in the next session we shall discuss in details karma, vikarma, and akarma. When we utter the word karma, that means good karma. Because for bad karma, that is another word, that is vikarma. That means when we utter the word karma, automatically it means that it is kartabya karma or good karma. That means any action is not karma. Any action may be a reaction. Only good actions are karma. Good actions means free from negative vasanas. When all the negative vasanas are destroyed in the form of knowledge, we start doing karma only. Then karma starts. Its opposite is vikarma. And then we shall discuss what is akarma. That is a transcendental state of karma and vikarma. That is niskama karma. We shall discuss in the next session. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Pramod Kumar Das, for yet another nice lecture. You have beautifully tried to explain the secret of karma yajna. Now it's time for the interaction with the participants. Well, I don't see any question in the chat box, but if somebody wants to speak directly to the speaker, they are invited. They are requested to unmute themselves and pose the question or make a suggestion to the talk of Professor Pramod Das. I don't see any question in the chat box. If anybody is interested for any question, well, I have a question by Shravani Mishra. Before you for running a comment, this is precious. Well, it's not a question; it's just a compliment. Well, I don't see any question here. So, if anybody is interested in asking anything, they are welcome, or they can even say post some observations if they so want. They are free to unmute themselves and ask the question or make a suggestion. They are welcome. Let me wait for half a minute for somebody to comment or there are senior professors. We have Sachindra Rao sir too, and many other senior people too connected with us. Uh, um, if they want to make some comment, they are welcome. Well, well, I don't see any question today because the entire session, the entire lecture was so clear. It was clearly explained. So I don't think anybody has any problem in understanding the lecture of Professor Pramod Das. So well, it's now time for me to summarize the entire talk of Professor Das. Well, taking from the last lecture on Swabhava and Swadharma, he tried to see the spirit that he carried on in the last class to this lecture too. Now, in this lecture, he has tried to speak of what is called as karma yajna. It is not exactly karma, rather it is a preparatory stage for karma. Before we say that we are carrying on an action, what is the preparation that we need to make? That is what is highlighted by Professor Das in his lecture. He started with saying something like this: we have sense organs, and because of these sense organs, we move outwards, our senses move outwards to meet the world, to meet the external world. From the external world, we are moved by certain perceptions, and these perceptions constitute the preliminary stage of the entire making system of our personality. Because these are the perceptions which do not end up there. These are the perceptions which build our nature. So the perceptions are not left alone. These perceptions enter into our thought process and they are interpreted by the mind in different ways. Since man is a pleasure-seeking being, he tries to interpret these perceptions to meet his own pleasures. Now, thinking about what is perceived to be good or bad for him or somebody close to him, he thinks on those perceptions, and this process of thinking over the perceptions got from the external world lead to the generation or lead to the generation of or the creation of certain desires in the mind. Now these desires are dangerous in a sense. Why? Because desires, if they are fulfilled, they will call for more desires. There is a desire for something, that desire is fulfilled, and the fulfillment of that very desire will generate further desire. So there lies the problem of the creation of what is called as lobha. There is a creation of greed for more. So the fulfillment of desire is problematic in a sense that it would lead to the generation of further desires, and this process goes on and it would end up in what is called as lobha, and lobha is never ending. The system, the body, the physical, the body, the entire system will perish, but this lobha will never perish. So that's the problem in lobha. A man who is at a very ripe age, but still, if you ask about his living condition, he will say he still wants to live. He has still love for his body. He still love for the earthly world. So lobha never dies. So that's the problem with lobha. And how is this lobha generated? This lobha is generated by the fulfillment of desires. Now, on the other hand, if the desires are not fulfilled, then it will lead to what is called as anger. So both are dangerous. Fulfillment of desires lead to the generation of further desires, and the non-fulfillment of desires lead to the generation of krodha or anger. But the question is the desire as it is good or bad? Well, Professor Das has tried to look into this. Well, there are certain good perceptions leading to good thoughts, leading to good desires. Having said so, he made a distinction between bad and good desires. There are desires of doing something selflessly for the society, and these are the desires which will not generate further desires. The desires that have no selfish motive, the desires which are for the welfare of the society, which are committed for the society, will not generate further desires. And these sort of desires are called desireless desires, because these desires do not generate further desires. This is what is required. These are the positive desires. Now, he said a very beautiful point that we have led a life of long, say 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but we are not acting real in a real sense. What we are doing is simply reacting. We are just reacting. And this reaction is due to our past dispositions. It is due to our past perceptions, or past thoughts, past memories, past preferences, or likes and dislikes. As long as our actions are carried on by these things, are based on our past, our dispositions or tendencies, our actions are not free. As long as our actions are not free from the past dispositions or memories or perceptions or thoughts, then such sort of actions, though look like actions, are not actually actions, they are reactions. Then what are actions? Very nicely, Professor Das has tried to say that actions are those which are free, actions which are totally free from any sort of tendencies, suppositions, memories, or any sort of idioms, are not reactions, they are rather actions. What are actions again? All those karmas done with a sense of duty, without any selfish interest, but with a concern for the society, are not reactions, they are actions. Because such actions are not fixed. Such actions are rather contextual. They go on with the context. The action, suppose he gave a very beautiful example of father-son relationship. Because we are because we are very much grateful or thankful to our father, even though the father commits a mistake, still we go on with the father, is not dharma. We have every right to even oppose the father who has given birth to me if he goes wrong, and that is dharma. And the action defending the father, even though he is wrong, is a reaction. It's not an action. But going against the father, if father has gone wrong, is action, because it is not carrying any past disposition. It is context specific, I'm going against my father because I'm not bound by anything. I'm going by the context. I'm going by the path of duty. I'm going by the path of dharma. I'm going by the path of, say, righteousness, which constitutes my duty in accordance with the context. Then such an action is not a reaction; it is rather a pure action. So, in saying all this, he said that we cannot go on without say perceptions. We cannot go on without thoughts. We cannot go on without memories. Well, but these perceptions, these thoughts, these memories should be positively oriented. These perceptions, thoughts, memories, or say past dispositions, they have a positive and a negative side. The negative sides should be thrown away into flames, and the positive sides, the positive thoughts, the positive perceptions, the positive memories should be carried on forward to have a selfless action, to carry on a selfless karma, which he calls an action in the true sense. So, what then is karma yajna? Karma yajna is sacrificing all the bad tendencies, say tendencies in the form of, say, lobha, krodha, moha, etc. So you need to sacrifice them in the yajna kunda or the fire altar. We need to sacrifice the bad memories. We need to sacrifice the bad thoughts, the bad perceptions, the evil designs, the selfish interests. These all should be all that are negative, all that are selfish, all that are bad, all that are evil should be sacrificed and be thrown into the fire altars or the yajna kunda, so that you come on refined, wherein you have positive perceptions, you have positive thoughts, you have positive memory, all contributing to your action in a pure manner, where there is no selfish interest attached, where this action will not bind you, because it is free from all sort of negatives. It is free from all negative dispositions. It is here everything bad, everything negative is thrown into the yajna kunda. So you are refined, and in such a refined state, the actions that you carry on are pure, and these actions will never liberate you. These actions will help you in achieving the common good of the society, and these actions where you have nothing for yourself, you are committed for the society, you are committed for the entire cosmos, there your action turns into what is called as niskama karma. So this is the final objective of the karma yajna. The objective of karma yajna is to throw away all the negatives, all the evil designs, all the negative factors, all the bad dispositions into the fire altar or the yajna kunda, so that you turn refined, and whatever you do becomes karma in the true sense, leading to the welfare, the benefit of the society. And such sort of action is truly an action. It is not a reaction at all, because such an action never binds you, rather leads you, such an action leads you to go on in the path of Nishkama Karma. Thank you, sir, for your very nice lecture. I have really enjoyed this lecture. Now, well, I don't have any question. Well. I see somebody has come. Sravani Mr. Um, uh, uh, has some question. Let me see what she wants to say. We are too confused and to one the right proper knowledge karma. Okay, she says it's about the practical side of life. where we come across various confusions. Because of these confusions, as you have said, wherever there are confusions, there are no actions, rather there are reactions. So, these reactions, as you say, they are not exactly actions. So, in order to have, say, a proper action, we need to refine ourselves, getting rid of all sort of the negatives that, as you have said in your lecture. So, she is actually thanking you for having given the right suggestion for making a right move in our practical life, wherein we are more confused of the situations, rather we react to the situations. Okay, so that's how our actions are not pure actions. So we need to be free from all this. So it's a positive comment for your entire lecture. Um, well, I don't see any questions, specific questions on this issue. Well, it was a very nice lecture, but still, if anybody wants any seeks any clarification or wants to add something to this lecture, they are invited. They may unmute themselves and pose a suggestion or a question to Professor Das. Let me wait for half a minute uh, for any suggestion or any question. Or Shravani Mishra Madam, if you want to say something, you are also welcome to unmute. Apart from Shravani Mishra, we have other participants. If anybody is interested to speak on this issue, that would add value to this issue, they are welcome. Uh, they can unmute and pose the question. Well, I see Abani Sonowal who wants to say something. Abani, do you want to say something?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir.
Carry on, carry on, carry on, carry on.
Okay. Yeah. I'm from Assam, and I have been trying to study Bhagavad Gita since last 5 years. I just wanted to say first thing is that since one thing, it was a nice lecture. I also really enjoyed. But I just want to add one thing. While saying about Bhagavad Gita or saying about the karma or yoga, um, for those people who have newly try to know or try to understand the Bhagavad Gita, it would be better if we refer to any particular verse which is mentioned in the text. Like he has mentioned in the last moment about the niskama karma, that is desireless action, which is generally said in chapter 2, verse 47, and chapter 5, verse 10, verse 12, and chapter 3, verse 19 also, and some other places. So that those other uh, who are not attached to the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, they would be helpful to understand the actual meaning which is said in the text. And another thing I just want to say, uh, he has talked so many things about the karma, but in chapter 3, verse 15, it is said how action is originated. So that would be better if he mentions in the lecture that the actions comes from here and there, or there is something in the higher position where the action emerges, and we as a means of that particular higher position we try to perform our action. Hello.
Carry on, carry on. We are listening you. We are listening to you. Okay, carry on. Okay. So these are
Okay.
the things that, anything more you
Yeah,
want to say?
these are the things I just wanted to add. These are the things I just want to hear from him. Does he believe that the action emerges from Brahman, which is said in chapter 3, verse 15? It is said that karma brahmo bhavam vidhi, or it is just normally we try to we do our action for the protection of the dharma, or for the luka sangraha, which he also mentioned about the yajna karma. Or I just wanted to know whether that action is actually originated from Brahman or not, which is said in chapter 3, verse 15.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Abani Sonawal, for your observations. He wants two things. First of all, he says it's a nice lecture. He has complimented. It's a nice lecture. But one thing he wants to say is whatever message that you are trying to communicate to all of us, it would be better if you you give the message at the same time you tell about the sloka from which you got this message, so that would make this lecture still more interesting. Number one. Number two, this is the first thing that he wants that he has tried to point out, so that that could add much more value to this entire talk. Now the second thing he says about action, whether you attribute the actions as originating from that Parameshwara or the Brahman, or
Brahman.
whether how do you see this the origin of our actions. So he was referring to the chapter 3 on the origin of actions, and he had a problem in that. So over to the speaker for a clarification on this.
Hmm.
What he said
Uh,
now.
ve- Very good observation. When we are going to read any book, chapter wise, there we find different types of interpretations. Suppose there is a verse, and this is that verse is has been interpreted by different authors differently. But here we are giving the gist of a chapter. If we go through the entire chapter 3, you will come to know about the vasanas or the pre conditions of action. That is well written. Yes, the next time I will try to. This is a very good suggestion also. I shall quote the verse. And the second one is I did not understand what he's saying that the action is originated from Brahman.
Yes. In
No,
chapter
no, no.
3, but he seeks a clarification.
No. Actions are originated from our thoughts, our desires. Our desires. If you have no desire, you have no action. Any action you do, biologically, psychologically, any action you do it because there is a desire. Without desire, there is no action at all. And my point of discussion today was whether we are really acting or reacting. You just observe. Don't go after the interpretations of other authors. I give the scope for self reflection. You just close your eye and reflect yourself. Now I spoke something to my wife or my child. Is it my action or my reaction? This is an open question for us. Whole life is spent with the misunderstanding that I am doing an action. Not, you have not started doing anything. You are just reacting. You mistake the reaction as the action. So here we have a scope for self-reflection. If there shall be one reflection, then there should be one interpretation of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so we shall think it in new ways. Therefore, I don't follow anybody's interpretation. My interpretation, my way of thinking is very practical and it is open to all. I invite all of you, please reflect upon such issues, whether it is my action or a reaction. Did I do something, or this is a projection of my previous tendency? Suppose I am angry and you will ask me something, the way I shall reply you, that is my projection of anger. If it is so, then that is not my action, it is reaction. But what should be? We should behave like a Sthita Prajna. And there is a well description of Sthita Prajna in Bhagavad Gita. If we understand what is Sthita Prajna, then we should understand its opposite stature. That what is not a state of Sthita Prajna. That was the state of Arjuna in the battlefield. Arjuna was confused. Arjuna should not be confused in the battlefields. So how can we describe his state of mind? Is it a state of Sthita Prajna? No. Was it a state of action? No. So how can we define the equanimity of mind? How can we define the just action? So we have to look after the conditions, the obstructions which hinder us, obstructs us doing good actions. That is how we have to reflect upon the verses. We have to reflect upon the interpretations of others. Not that we shall take one book somebody has interpreted by translating the Sanskrit verses into English or Hindi or Odia language or any other language. No, no, that is not the, that is the very traditional way for reading Bhagavad Gita. You understand the verse, you relate the verses together, you summarize the entire chapter, what is said in this chapter. Okay, so I think that is the way of interpretation, not mere by translating the verses into other languages.
Professor. Thank you, Professor. That's very nicely responded to the observations made by Professor Abani Shonowal. Actually, first thing that you have admitted, well, whenever you are bringing an idea, well, you will be quoting the words. Well, it's an improvement. Nicely accepted, but as regarding the interpretations are concerned, we should not be bound by a particular interpretation. We should have our own interpretation given the words, given the text. We are open to have our own interpretation, and this is as exactly said, nicely said by Professor that this is the
And,
postmodern.
and it is also open for discussion.
It is open for discussion.
If you do not, yeah, if my interpretation is open for discussion, if you do not agree, if you find any problem in my interpretation, then ask the question.
Yes.
That I stumble here,
Yes.
and I am not satisfied. So if the interpretation is justified, and we all experience in that way, then our Swadhyaya, our way of studying the scriptures should be in that way. Otherwise, dogmatic study is not required. That is done. Thousands of interpretations are there
Okay.
by mere translating the verses.
Thank you. Very nicely said. Very nicely responded. We should not be bound by the interpretations that we find in the various interpretations by various scholars. Rather, we should take the words, have our own interpretations. Only then something new will come out. So, and this is the postmodern way, and is the postmodern technique of being open rather than being close to the previous interpretation. This is how we experience something new. We come up with novel ideas, we come up with novel interpretations, and that would keep us in the present, say more practical. And this is what I see in Professor Das in bringing things to the light in a more practical way. And this is how I think Professor Das is justified in having own interpretations and making those interpretations open for all for discussion to look into any sort of inconsistencies if they have, and that's how we can explore more interpretations, and this is how we can be in a age of we can fit into the structure of postmodernism rather than being traditional, making pondering over the interpretations that were earlier made. So we should be open for new interpretations, and that's how something new will come out. And thank you for the response, and thank you, Professor Sonowal, for your observations, and
Yes, thank you for your.
thank you for your suggestions, and hope the participants might have been benefited by this lecture and the responses that we saw from Professor Das. Okay, now I don't see any other question in the chat box. Now over to Swarnalata Tripathi Madam for proposing a formal vote of thanks. Over to Swarnalata Madam.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar to all. I thank all the participants for being with us in the lecture series of the Bhagavad Gita. Today we had a beautiful session. Today series of the Bhagavad Gita. Today we had a beautiful session. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to all the participants for their presence and participation. I thank the speaker of this session for delivering a beautiful talk on the secret of karma yajna. The secret of karma is desire and the secret of yajna is desirelessness. Every karma done in the sense of purity and for loka is an instance of yajna. I thank Dr. Rao sir for giving a beautiful concluding remark at the end of the session. Wisdom Forum is highly grateful to Dr. Rao for his selfless dedication and contribution. I thank you all. We shall meet again next Saturday with a new topic. Namaskar.
I also thank you, Madam, for thanking all of us. You are the main actress behind the curtain, carrying on this webinar series. Thank you very much, Madam. Now, by thanking all present here, and also thanking all those who have left, I thank all the participants in today's webinar for making this webinar so successful, and I hope we'll be coming with more and more participants in the coming sessions. With finally thanking the speaker and the participants, I declare this webinar closed. Thank you. See you again coming Saturday. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Thank you.